UFC Fight Night Vegas 15, Smith vs Clark took place last night, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, starting with, let's not waste any more time, the early prelim opener of Luke Sanders vs Nate Maness took place in a catchweight bout at 140 pounds, I believe it was. Nate Maness, Luke Sanders, good fight while it lasted, actually. Luke Sanders came out all guns blazing, landing some big shots. Seemed like he would tire as the fight went on because he's a bit of an older guy and he was throwing a lot of heat into those early shots. And Nate Maness rode those shots well. Took a bunch of big shots in this fight, but still managed to come out of there with the victory, even whilst getting completely torn up in the stand-up a little bit in the first round. I mean, it was competitive, don't get me wrong, but in the second round, he cracked Luke Sanders too many times with those counter hooks. And one thing I liked about Nate Maness in this fight is even though he was under fire, he was still educatedly throwing back whilst under fire, giving Luke Sanders something to feel. And that's exactly what he did. Landed those counter hooks as Sanders was coming in a bit reckless. Caught him on the chin. I thought it was going to be a KO. Ended up getting the submission win, which was very enjoyable to see to open up the card. So good performance by Nate Maness. I actually picked Nate Maness to win the fight by decision. A bit of a grind out decision. I thought he'd win the second and third round against Sanders. But oh well. Nate Maness gets the job done against Sanders by finish, which was very enjoyable to see. Good job, Nate Maness. Actually called out Nathaniel Wood as well, because his name is Nathan, I guess. The Nathans are going to take on each other, but I will say this. I think Nathaniel Wood beats him at bantamweight. Nate Maness is a good fighter, but the shots that he was getting clipped with by Sanders, you ain't taking those shots against Nathaniel Wood, in my opinion. But it was a good fight. Nate Maness, if you want Nathaniel Wood, I'm down to make that fight. I think Nathaniel Wood should accept that fight because it's very winnable for him. So let's do that matchup next at bantamweight. Moving on. Oh yeah, and Luke Sanders, maybe retire. He's an older guy. He doesn't really have to do this anymore, but, you know, it's up to him. Moving on. Su Madureji versus Malcolm Gordon. I picked Su Madureji to win by TKO. I did not pick him to win by brutalizing Gordon in the first round with absolute ease 44 seconds in. That's something I didn't pick him to do. I didn't think he would just go out there and completely destroy Gordon with every single punch he landed. I didn't think that was going to happen whatsoever, but he went out there and every single shot he landed on Gordon made Gordon wobble. I know Gordon's been KO'd a bunch of times in his career, but I will say this as well about this finish. Very good performance by Su Madureji. He called out someone in the top 10. I don't think we should give him someone in the top 10. He's 13-4. I think we need to improve that record a little bit if we're going to have some more respect for the flyweight division. So give him someone at flyweight that's unranked, maybe coming off a win, maybe coming off a loss, maybe a newcomer to the flyweight division versus Su Madureji. Very good fighter, Su Madureji, had a great performance. Malcolm Gordon kind of quit though, right? Can we just all kind of agree on that? By the way, the Tibetan Eagle, Su Madureji, I love the nickname. 24 years of age, young guy. We can make something out of him in this flyweight division. Seems the same size as Brandon Royval as well, but Malcolm Gordon took that punch and just went down. Like it was, maybe he was concussed. Maybe he was really badly concussed a bunch of times. But that's a quitter right there, in my opinion. Okay, I know it's crazy to say, but I reckon he could have stayed standing after that punch landed. But a good finish by Su Madureji. Malcolm Gordon hit the canvas, shelling up. Madureji gets the TKO in the first round. Good performance. Moving on, up the card. Flyweight division, man. Really good. Su Madureji, a new addition, 24 years of age. And more keep coming. The flyweight division is going to be rife with talent in a couple of years. You tell... Mark my words, I guarantee you the flyweight division is going to make a massive comeback. Moving on, Gina Mazany versus Rachel Ostovich. Another flyweight bout, but this time a women's flyweight bout. Mazany wins. Ostovich was okay, actually. I had some good angles. There were some good moments in the clinch where Ostovich was a little bit revealed, and I know what ones. I know you guys know exactly what moments I'm talking about because it's probably imprinted on your brain right now. You know exactly what moment I'm talking about, but still, Gina Mazany went out there with a grappling fest. Smushed Ostovich up against the cage, got some takedowns, got top control, landed some good shots on the feet as well, with some good leg kicks, eventually finished the fight with front kicks to the stomach, which was very effective against Ostovich. She immediately curled up after those front kicks landed. She was landing them earlier in the fight as well, which actually hurt Ostovich a little bit. That's what Gina Mazany said anyway, and she went back to them in the third round, whilst Ostovich was also quite gassed out. Eventually got the finish there, and Ostovich just couldn't take more than one of those. Gina Mazany gets the job done by TKO in the third round. Women's flyweight has another person to take on, another women's flyweight coming off a win that we're going to try and build, because as much as I like Gina Mazany's hair color, She's 7-4. You're going to get sacrificed to someone that we think is going to be something. So we'll see how that one goes. Maybe Gina Mazzani versus Maria Agapova in a comeback fight. Because listen, maybe Gina Mazzani versus Jessica Rose Clark. Because she looks quite a bit like her mum. Gina Mazzani, Jessica Rose Clark. I picked Rachel Ostovich to win this one by submission in the second round. I was very close to that, in my opinion. They gave Ostovich no submission attempts. She had 2 close armbars, no? They gave her no submission attempts whatsoever. Also, I want to say this. Ostovich looked okay in the grappling. In the first 2 rounds, some good scramble. Burping up all of my guts. Some good scrambles in the first round. In the second round, she had a couple of close armbar attempts. Went for a triangle, it looked like, but it wasn't quite in. Gave up on that one. But then at some point in the second round, took the back in a way that I don't think I've ever seen anyone take the back before. I mean, I've seen Ortega try and take the back in that way, but Ostovich reversed position and got the back mount against Mazzani in a very creative way. I believe they were in north-south, and she just reached her legs over and took the back from there. Very flexible. You know? I've done a bit of training with the flexibility there, working those hips. But still, Ostovich loses, Mazzani wins. I picked Ostovich, Mazzani gets the job done. Moving on up the card, Martin Day versus Anderson Dos Santos. I picked Martin Day to win. Anderson Dos Santos gets the work. And this is where the card descended into chaos for predictors and bettors. This was where it sort of descended into just this card is going to make no sense. Because Anderson Dos Santos is an underdog here. Martin Day is not a good fighter, don't get me wrong, but I thought he was going to get the job done. Looked quite good on the feet in the first round. Ate some big shots in the first round, though. So Dos Santos, after a long time off, came in switched on. Credit to him, he's a veteran. I guess that comes with the veteran savvy of Anderson Dos Santos. Eventually got the submission in the first round. A guillotine on Martin Day, it was in. Martin Day had a good performance. Got taken down, no control on the ground quite a bit. I think it's time to cut Martin Day. He's now 8-5. I believe he's actually now 8-6. If they add in to his record. Or I think he's 8-5 actually, so we'll see. But 8-5 ain't a good enough record in the UFC unless you're a women's division fighter. So unless Martin Day's looking for a sex change, probably about time Martina. Maybe, listen, he could become Martina Day. It's 2020. Maybe he could have that record in the female division and get given a title shot. Who knows? 8-5 ain't good for men's divisions, especially the men's bantamweight division. Anderson Dos Santos gets the guillotine. Martin Day reverses a position, shoots into a guillotine. Pretty bad IQ, but then again, Dos Santos gets the submission win, and he wants a quick turnaround as well. So, they could do Anderson Dos Santos versus someone, maybe Anderson Dos Santos versus Nathan Menes. If Nathaniel Wood doesn't want to stoop that low down because he's still quite highly ranked in that bantamweight division for Nathan Menes, maybe they could do Nathan Menes versus Anderson Dos Santos. Both guys fought on the card. Both guys got submission wins in under 2 rounds. Let's make the fight happen. Moving on, up the card to the main card in the main event. And the chaos ensues more. Jonathan Pierce gets the job done against Kai Kamaka. I actually picked Jonathan Pierce to win. By 3rd round finish or by decision. I thought he was going to grind out Kai Kamaka. I thought it was a lightweight bout because that's what it said it was. So, you know, billion-dollar company UFC. You said it was a lightweight bout. Jonathan Pierce has fought a lightweight before. He's a giant guy. I thought he was going to go out there and get the job done. When they said on the scales 145, I was pissed off. And when this card started, I flippantly said before, fuck this, Kamaka will probably win then. Jonathan Pierce gets it done. However, and I'm going to hit you with the ultimatum here. Do you guys give me flippant things before the fight starts, or do you judge my research on the full card predictions? Because if you give me flippant wins on the card by predictions, I just throw something out there before the fight starts, then I'll take the main and co-main event because I did the same thing there. So, you tell me what you're going to do, okay? I reckon you'll probably say no. Let's just count the original predictions so that I lose more than I win and only get 1 prediction rather than 2 in the main event. I assume you want to punish me in that way, so I'll take the Jonathan Pierce one and lose the main and co-main for flippant off-the-cuff predictions before the fight starts. I called Pierce to win from my research, even though I thought it was taking place at lightweight. He gets the job done. Kamaka just completely gassed out after the first round. It was a theme on this card. It was a real theme. Kai Kamaka gassed out after the first round. A couple of grappling exchanges with Jonathan Pierce, who's much bigger than him, I get it. Kai Kamaka had no energy to go into that second round, and he even landed a bunch of body shots on Jonathan Pierce, and a bunch of good shots, but even then, even with the body shots that he invested, he still was just gassed out in the second round, ended up getting finished by TKO. It was more of like a Walt Harris, Alistair Overeem kind of finish. where, like, he's just not defending himself. Like, he is, but he's not, you know, he's not moving anywhere. So he's just going to keep getting punched. So ended up Jonathan Pearce with the win. Good win from Jonathan Pearce. Featherweight division, I don't know. He called out, I believe he called out someone very important. No, he didn't. Bill Algeo called out someone very important. So I'm going to wait before I mention that. But Jonathan Pearce gets a win. Could make him versus Bill Algeo. We'll see how things go. I reckon they'll probably make Jonathan Pearce versus Yusuf Zalal or something along those lines in the featherweight division. Moving on. Up the card, Ashley Evans-Smith versus Norma Dumont. Norma Dumont had the objective in this fight. I picked Ashley Evans-Smith, by the way, as the favourite. But Norma Dumont had the objective in this fight to land shots on her opponent. And I think Ashley Evans-Smith forgot what the fight game was, because it seemed like everything Ashley Evans-Smith threw was intentionally out of range, and she was just feinting everything, shadow boxing at nothing, holding back every kick she charged up, holding back every punch she charged up, nothing but feints, and just basically like an absolute mess. Cut her from the UFC, 6-5. I don't know if she's on a 2-fight win streak or anything. She might be even coming off a win here. Coming off a loss to Andrea Lee. Get rid of her. She's terrible. And she's terrible. So let's just get rid of her. 33 years of age, 6-5, no skill whatsoever, even though she's been training. And I mean, she's been in the UFC since 2014. She has been not just in MMA competition. She has been in the UFC, the highest level of competition in martial arts, for 6 years. And it just looks like she hasn't even fucking tried to be good. Looked like shit. Norma Dumont looked good, though, to be fair. But Ashley Evans-Smith, it was a mix of both. You've got to admit there. Norma Dumont looked good. She did miss weight by 3.5 pounds, which obviously is going to add a little bit of an asterisk next to her win. But, you know, can't predict that on the scale. So, Norma Dumont gets it done. I'm glad Norma Dumont gets it done because she got that cake. You know what I'm saying? But still, Ashley Evans-Smith looked like absolute fucking dog trash. Let's just say it how it is. She's not good at fighting. Norma Dumont wins with good fighting skill and actually knowing that there's this secret technique in the fighting world that Ashley Evans-Smith didn't quite understand. The aim is to get your fist to touch your opponent's face or body or anywhere. And I don't think Ashley Evans-Smith knew about that one yet. So that's just experience for Norma Dumont, knowing that you have to actually land on your opponent to be successful. Good job by Norma Dumont, no. Great performance. Ended up, I thought she could have got a finish at any moment in that fight, to be honest with you. If Norma Dumont really wanted to go out there and start picking up the pace, I reckon she could have got a finish there, but she didn't. Ended up getting a decision. Almost finished there at the end of the third. Good fight from Norma Dumont. Moving on, up the card to the next one. Spike Carlisle versus Bill Algeo. I like Bill Algeo. Even though I didn't pick him to win, he was a good underdog here. He was the only sensible underdog that ended up pulling it off this card, in my opinion. Okay? Other than Jonathan Pearce, of course, because I picked him. But still, Bill Algeo, sensible underdog, gets it done. I picked Spike Carlisle to get the job done, no. Thought he was going to go out there, be a fast starter. I don't know if he was going to get the first round TKO. I think I ended up predicting that he would win by first round TKO. But it was a close one. Algeo's got a good chin. Carlisle, I thought, went 3 hard rounds with Quarantillo and almost won it. And if he didn't get knocked down at the end of the first round, he might have ended up winning that fight anyway. And the second round was really close. And he had good cardio in the second, but in the third he really gassed out. So I thought, you know what? It's a fixable problem for Spike Carlisle. The only problem he has in his entire game is, other than some sloppy stand-up here and there, his cardio is the main problem in his game. I'm sure we can all agree. All he needs to do is fix his cardio and he could be a real threat in that division. Had some close submission attempts in the fight. Yeah, just didn't have gas whatsoever. Just 5 minutes in, Carlisle's done. So, yeah, training for his career, 27 years of age. He didn't even go that crazy early, man. I know a lot of people say that Spike Carlisle, even Algeo said this in his post-fight interview, which we're going to talk about in a second because he had an amazing call-out. I know that people say that Spike Carlisle, and Algeo said this, blows his wad early and then gasses out. Carlisle was conservative here, man. Chopping at the legs, moving around the outside, trying to invest some shots. Still gassed out after 5 minutes, man. He gassed out quicker than he did against Quarantillo. He had a longer camp. He had more time to prepare overall and address the problems in his game. And he had worse cardio this time. So, like, what's the point then? You're going back to your gym. Your problem was cardio. You're coming back with worse cardio against us in a slower paced fight as well. What the fuck are you doing then? Fire your gym or quit training. One of them's the problem. I don't understand that. You know? Gassed out against Quarantillo. gassed out quicker this time in a slower paced fight. It was a bit weird. But whatever. Carlisle loses. Algeo looked really good, though. He looked really good. Constantly overperforming in his career, I feel like, recently. Maybe he's just stepping into his prime. Still a young guy, I believe, as well. I'm not actually sure how old he is. I think he might be just past 30 at like 31, 32. 31 years of age for Bill Algeo. Looking good. Looking good in his fights. And he called out Giga Chikadze, which I liked as a call-out, and it gave me some respect for Algeo, because that's a call-out that takes some thinking, because Giga Chikadze needs an opponent right now, and Giga Chikadze loves fighters ranked underneath him, and newcomers to the UFC, and Algeo is one of those things, a fighter ranked underneath him, and a favourable matchup, which is something that Giga Chikadze also only takes on. So let's do that one. Bill Algeo said that Giga Chikadze is protected by the UFC. I say make the fight, because I feel like Giga Chikadze needs one more fight to win before we start jumping him up there against the Dan Iges and the Hakeem Dawodu Burgos winners and the Ryan Halls of this world. One more win. Bill Algeo versus Giga Chikadze. Algeo didn't really take too much damage in that fight. There was rarely any damaging shots that Carlisle threw and landed. Good performance by Algeo. I say turn him around. I feel like I'm talking about Aljamain Sterling when I talk about this guy, but still, Algeo got the job done. Turn him back around in January, the end of January, February, maybe early February. Make that fight happen. I want to see it real bad. Moving on. Up the card. Josh Parisian versus Parker Porter. I thought Josh Parisian was the lock of the night. So much so, I didn't even say that Josh Parisian was the lock of the night. I said that Josh Parisian in the first round was lock of the night. But Parker Porter, KO'd just under 3 months ago, has a granite chin and just takes everything that Parisian throws at him in that first round, even though Parisian's KO'd many, many opponents that have better chins and less tested chins than Porter in their career in the first round. But, you know, Parker Porter, man, what can you say? He goes out there and gets it done. Looks can be deceiving, but then again, Parisian's a fat shit as well, so I don't even know if that's even a case, but Porter did good, man. Looks really good. I thought he lost the first round. Some people were saying he might have won the first round because I think they were sort of swayed by the end of the first round. It looked like Parisian was gassing out. But at the start of the first round, Parisian was landing really good shots in the clinch. A bunch of knees, bunch of combos as well. Parisian won the first round in my opinion, but Parker Porter got the job. Also, Carlisle versus Algeo, it was 30-27. I thought Carlisle won the first round. So, interesting. But still, Parisian versus Porter. Porter gets it done over 3 rounds. Would you fucking believe it? And now Porter's around in the heavyweight division. Who should Porter take on? That's a big question. Also, Spike Carlisle should probably face, like, I don't even know. Oh, I don't fucking know anymore, man. Kai Kamaka versus Spike Carlisle, 8-3, 9-3. Let's just fucking do that shit, man. Fucking letdown. I was so gutted about Spike Carlisle's performance because it seemed like he got worse against a worse opponent, basically. Whatever. Anyway, moving on. What was I saying? Heavyweights. Right, I need the heavyweight division. Who am I going to pick for Parker Porter's next opponent? I feel like it should be the winner of Justin Tafa versus Carlos Felipe. If it's Tafa, you're going to have to give him someone further down these rankings. He's going to jump over Collier, Rook Martinez here. Jump up 2 positions. I say give him someone like Dontel Mays. That could be a good one. Mays needs a little bit more work on his game. Dontel Mays versus Parker Porter. I wouldn't even mind Porter's chances as an underdog there. That's the crazy thing. Somehow he's got a granite chin now. So good job, Parker Porter, with a good performance. I thought it was fight of the night, which was very sloppy and kind of tells you how good this card was. But Miguel Baeza versus Takashi Sato took place in the co-main event. And Miguel Baeza improves to 10-0, undefeated. Very good performance from him. Landed good shots in the first round. Sato was landing some good shots in the fight as well. Couple good shots to the body. Couple good left hands sneaking in there behind his jab. I thought Sato was one of the best underdogs on the card other than Devin Clark. Before the fight started, I flippantly said that Baeza will probably win because Sato makes sense as an underdog, so it would make sense for Baeza to somehow fucking pull this one out after the Parker Porter-Josh Parisian fight. But still, Baeza gets it done. But my original prediction, of course, which we're going off of rather than emotional hissy fit reaction predictions, was Sato. I got it wrong. Oh well. Baeza finishes him in the second round. I even said Takashi Sato finishes his I've caught a CTE from someone. How? Finishes? What's happening? I might never speak again. We're good. We're good. I'm going to get through this. We're going to get through this. Just give me a second. God, I need Pepsi or something. Finishes Miguel Baeza in the second round, and Baeza finished Sato in the second round, embarrassing me even more. Good finish from Baeza, gets the submission, arm triangle choke. Very cool. Very good performance as well. Landed a bunch of good right hands. Was beating Sato to his own right hand, or his own two, by cutting in the inside of the jab and landing it first. Good job from Miguel Baeza. Called out top 5 guys. You're not going to get top 5 guys whatsoever, so... I say Miguel Baeza versus Sean Brady. Miguel Baeza versus Nico Price. Miguel Baeza versus if Diego Lima somehow beats Bilal Muhammad, which won't happen, but one of those kind of fights. Moving on, Anthony Smith versus Devin Clark. Made a full fight reaction to this on the channel. Go check it out if you want. Anthony Smith gets the job done by triangle choke in the first round against Devin Clark. Best performance of his career. I thought he looked in the worst shape of his entire career, but somehow, even whilst looking like absolute pudding on the scales, pulls out the best performance. Gets a triangle in the first round. Very good from Anthony Smith. It wasn't really a Lionheart performance because he didn't really have to go through too much adversity. But it was a Lionheart performance in the way of the overall scheme of things. He had to go through adversity with a couple of losses previous to this one. So Lionheart was just saving his Lionheart moment, but just 2 fights too long. You know what I mean? So he came back in this one, started out real fast. Devin Clark starts out always ridiculously fast, so he was ready for that. Ended up getting a takedown to capitalize on Clark's forward momentum. Very good performance from Anthony Smith. Gets a triangle in the first round. Probably a performance bonus as well. If I had to give out bonuses here, I would give a performance bonus to... Cool, I don't know. Maybe Suma Dueji on the prelims. 1 to Baeza. And then fight of the night to Porter Parisian. Or I wouldn't even give fight of the night. I'd give 4 bonuses. 1 to Smith and 1 to Porter maybe just for the upset. But who knows? Good performances throughout. Wasn't the best card in the world, but it happened, so it's over now. Good shit. You know what I mean? Card's over. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Click that button up there. See you later. Toodle pip.